This simple YouTube ad formula has the potential to generate hundreds of leads and dozens of clients for your real estate wholesale business. This is the same exact formula that has generated hundreds of thousands in revenue for my real estate clients. And in this video, I'm breaking it down in 5 simple steps. So step 1 is scripting. And basically the first step in scripting is your market research. Basically what you want to do is figure out what your dream client is, who they are, what they're about, and then target them. So in order for your ads to resonate with these people, you need to identify exactly who you're targeting and you're speaking to. Things like understanding their pain points, their dreams, desires, objections, what kind of language, phrases, slang do they use? These are all things that are necessary in your ads in order for them to actually see success. If you just talk about yourself, your company, why you're great, no one's going to click on the ad, no one's going to convert with you because it's not addressing their needs and it's not answering the biggest question out of any sort of sale: what's in it for me? Now, if you're not sure of these different points, you can research these types of things. And how you actually do this is, first off, if you run an established, successful business and you're just looking to scale, just take past results from your most common clients and your best clients. What are their biggest problems, their pain points, and their dreams? And then from there, it just makes it that much easier for you to just replicate and amplify what's already working. Now, if you're newer, things like Reddit and Facebook groups absolutely crush it, simply because people just post their honest opinions on there because they're looking for other honest opinions. These are trustworthy sites. And because of that, you can just look at the problems, trends, and talking points that most people are talking about right now, and you can capitalize off of that really easily. Another good thing is looking at competitors. So what are they doing well? What ads, what offers, what lead magnets they're running, all of that kind of stuff, whether it's local or even nationwide, especially if you run nationwide campaigns yourself. And basically with this, what you want to do, a quick little tip, is just go on like the Facebook ads library or the Transparency Center and see which ads have been running the longest. Because if they've been running for more than 30 to 60 days, chances are they're really working, because obviously people aren't going to spend money on ads that aren't working. So just look at those. If they're active, if they've been running for more than 30 days, chances are it's going to be doing really well. And then the final thing is just basically common objections and FAQs in general. When you're actually talking with your prospects, what common questions and objections do you receive? And once you can answer all of these, and if you can combine all of these different types into your research, you're going to absolutely crush it and kill it. And we can move on to the next step. Now you've gotten all the research down. You need to understand the structure of how winning ads perform. So every single ad, no matter if we're talking real estate, wholesale, if we're talking B2B, B2C, e-commerce, whatever, every single video ad has a hook in it, okay? And it needs to basically be a pattern interrupt that calls out your ideal customer and immediately and gets them to keep watching the rest of the ad. So for example, a good hook that I use is area homeowners, or homeowners if it's nationwide. Listing your home on the market isn't the only way to sell your house. Selling to us is faster, easier, and way more convenient, right? And then from there, that just basically addresses their pain points and it intrigues them to keep listening. Well, what's in it for me? Are these guys legit? And next to the story. So a very popular angle that works for me is the anti-realtor example. So look, listing with an agent takes months. You have to do cleanup, do repairs, and open houses, only to end up paying 6% in commissions. And then from here, you can add your solution. So we do things differently. We buy properties as is, meaning you don't fix a single thing. So now you've enhanced their pain, and what you're going to move into is your credibility and your offer. So you could say something like, I'm looking to buy 3 more houses in X zip code this month. We can give you a fair all cash offer within 24 hours, no banks, no inspections, no fees. All right. And then you can post your testimonials, or you can have those on your landing page, whatever. And from there, you can move into the close, click the blue button, enter your address, and you'll receive a cash offer on your property in 7, 14 days, etc., or in less than 24 hours, for example. And so once you have the structure of the ad down, you also need to make sure of something when you're running your offer, okay? Because we need to break this down, because this is where a lot of people get stuff wrong. You need to have these specific things: a specific result, meaning, let's say, a cash offer in 24 hours, the fast time frame. A unique mechanism, something you haven't heard before, meaning, let's say, a fair cash offer. So not something that's going to lowball you, no inspections, no fees, etc. Make it low barrier to entry, meaning when they click the button, only ask them 1 or 2 questions, maybe their property address, their phone number. And you want to make it simple and clear. Don't make the language a bunch of jargon. Make it totally tailored to their pains and the solution to their pains. And in order to do this, you need to be able to know what the result is that they actually want, what they're actually afraid of and why they haven't actually done this yet. And so now you have the messaging and the scripting down. Now we're going to move into the recording, which is just as important as the scripting. And the first thing I tell every single one of my clients is audio is always going to be better than the actual video production. Audio makes or breaks your ad. And while it's very, very true that people often resonate with a less polished video, simply due to the fact that it's more organic feeling, just because of that does not mean that poor audio quality is going to fix that, because they do not want to listen to terrible audio quality. As soon as they hear something that sounds staticky, sounds reverberated, they're going to skip it just because it's perceived as low authority, it's perceived as cheap, and you don't want to come across as cheap. This doesn't mean now, however, that you all want to record and you need to record with $1 million studio setup. It just means that you need audio to be clear, and it needs to be competitive with all the others that are running. So what I recommend with most people is just get a Shure SM7B if you want to do like a podcast studio option, or get a Rode wireless or a DJI mic if you want to have a wireless option hooked onto your shirt. The next key tip is your tone. So you want to be empathetic with your clients like you usually are, but you need to be direct because you're a problem solver. You're not a salesman, right? You want to keep it calm because these motivated sellers deal with a lot of different pains, right? Divorce, foreclosure, probate, and they're already stressed enough, and you want to be leading them to the next step. You don't want to be stressing them out, trying to act like you're coming across as a really nice guy, because people can smell sales from a mile away, and everybody knows what happens when you come off as salesy. You're never going to actually close a sale. And then finally, once you have the recording down, now comes the editing process. Now, I usually keep it stupid simple when it comes to editing. People like organic, unpolished content, and they only usually want things that are beneficial to them. So what you can add in are testimonials and case studies. So you can stitch in clear outcomes that you've achieved for current clients. You can have videos of them maybe sitting down with the contract, them happy, them feeling relieved, them evoking a certain emotion that another person is desiring, your potential leads that are going to be coming in your pipeline. Another thing is adding captions. So up to 50% of people, this is a true statistic, will watch your ads with the audio off. So clear captions are an absolute must. It's a non-negotiable. Next is area B-roll. So just add in local B-roll of your area just to build trust with the client, so they know, hey, this person's in my area. They're using video footage that's in the area that I'm located in, so they know you're legit. And then finally, just adding results. So maybe clients receiving checks, shaking hands, signing paperwork, obviously blur it out and add social proof. But the thing with this is you don't really need to have really fancy cuts. You don't have to have incredibly expensive studio equipment. You just want to basically provide these types of things here simply in your videos. And what I mean by simply is you don't have to make the captions fancy. You don't have to, make the case studies really fancy. They can literally be shot on your phone, because the more organic and authentic something is, the more somebody's going to trust you. And right now, because we're in a trust recession, trust needs to be leveraged, and you need to be in the top competitive edge of building trust. Now, the last and most forgotten part is creating variations of your ads. So there's literally a dozen ways you can create hundreds of variations just from literally one YouTube ad. And here are just a couple of tips. You can literally screenshot this if you want. The first thing I always say is say the same thing, just in a different setting. So if you're inside, just go outside. You can go to a whole new location, like a new studio. Or if you shot your video in horizontal format, like I'm doing right now, you can shoot it in vertical format. And the next thing is you can say the same thing just with a different person. So you can hire an actor. If you were a male, maybe try hiring a female, or it can be a business partner. Another thing you can do is saying the same thing just with different editing. Most of the time, I would start off with like raw, uncut stuff. But as you scale and progress, try faster pacing and cuts, because markets do change. Psychology does change, and it does have ebbs and flows. And you can always have like flashy stuff and maybe make it creative on the flip side. And basically just try different formats, right? But like I always say, always start with like raw and uncut, because I've noticed across the board, majority of the time, organic always sells. So the next thing we have is saying the same thing in just a different way. So most of the time, what I do with this is just having new hooks. Just address different pain points, maybe a different angle you can come across with, something more catchy, something that's going to just basically pattern interrupt somebody's day. And you can have a new body as well. But most of the time, just new hooks are usually the best thing to create variations from. And basically, the last thing is just an unpolished or a polished version, either shooting a DSLR camera or on your iPhone. You can switch between either or. You can be in a studio or maybe go on location at a specific property that is distressed, for example, that you have access to. Now that I've given you my YouTube ad formula, you're probably wondering how to set up campaigns, landing pages, and everything else you need to scale with YouTube ads. Well, I've created an entire video on how to do exactly that right here. This goes over statewide and niche specific strategies that nobody is talking about. So go check that out. Aside from that, that's the end of this video. Peace.